Happy Monday. Super happy to have you here. As I am so happy to have Lorna here. How's your day going so far, Lorna?
Good. We're recording very early this morning, so we started off the day bright and breezy.
Absolutely. And we're both on a bit of a high because we had a good weekend out competing. So that's really, really exciting. Do you want to tell everyone what you've been up to, Lorna?
Yeah, yesterday was my first outing of 26, a dressage outing to get us going. I've spent all winter working really hard, making my large pony, very...
Pony is a big word for you, not quite the word for your horse.
Making him very strong and supple and gone back to basics. So yesterday was our first outing. We'll go into this in the podcast, but obviously rocked up with no expectations. I made a little Instagram reel about it, and I had no idea which beast I was going to unleash yesterday, but I am delighted to say that he put his best hoof forward and showed off all his skills that he's been practicing all winter. So I am super proud of him.
Yeah, incredible. I think it's such a testament for everyone know that you're always working really, really hard. But I know you've had a big focus on it since it was a little bit too jolly often in the dressage tests last year. And you tested a lot of new stuff. And yeah, it's amazing to see that it's paying off and you're able to go out. First outing of the year and really nail it. And I think, like you mentioned, there are also expectations without going too deep. But it's, I think that goes, when you go into it, it's like the first outing, you have no expectations. You're just like, we're just going to see what we can get away with, test out how this winter training has worked out. And then, it tends to go well. It's like you can actually do it. And if you just go into it with that kind of attitude and that kind of mindset, it usually works out.
Yeah, so, awesome. Tell us about your competition yesterday.
Yeah, but the same thing, right? It was show jumping and was with my show jumper Queenie. But yeah, I also haven't been out since in December, and yeah, I was really consistently jumping then. But then it's been winter break, Christmas break, and then kind of building up slowly. And she's been a little bit twitchy, like a little bit stiff, and had to put a lot of work into getting her body moving again after a 10-day break. And yeah, it was a bit challenging. But yesterday we were out for the first time, and she was absolutely brilliant. Well, we both were, I'd say. But I think it's that thing also, like you say, no expectations, right? It's been a bit of a challenge to get her back into work, feeling good in her body again, testing out some new things. And yeah, it was a really small arena. It was the place we could go to, which is not really her the best thing for her because she's really, really big and has a bit of a challenging canter. But yeah, she was brilliant. And I'm happy also that I'm able to go into it like after being off for so long. Sometimes I think, I won't be able to do it. I'm all rusty and this and that. But I dare to say it was one of the best runs I've ever ridden. And yeah, I think it really is that thing, zero expectation, and you just go into it. And it's not an ideal arena. We haven't been out much. And then you're just like, yeah, we'll just test it out and get going again. And then it actually works out really well. So yeah, also really, really pleased this Monday morning. Yeah,
I think it's really cool as well because it further evidences the fact that you can have a break in your training, you can have a break with your actual riding skills, but if your mindset is strong enough or if it's in the right frame, essentially, then people panic, don't they? The weather's bad and I can't get training, I can't do this. And we know that we have to take action, we have to train and do all those kind of things, but actually shows the real significance, I guess, of having that strong mindset all the time, even when you have a break.
Yeah, because it's not like your body has forgotten how to ride or forgotten how to ride a dressage or forgotten how to jump a course, right? We've done it. Well, we've done it for so many years, and we've done it in the past. Like it's like riding a bike a little bit. Like your body knows how to do it, and then it's often like you get in your own way by thinking that you won't 100%. Be able to do it, and that's where it doesn't go like you want, right? But actually, if you're just trusting your body, letting go of all expectations, and just allow yourself to just ride exactly that. Just ride your horse without getting caught up in all that bullshit. Then actually, it's
so simple, huh?
Well, we both know that it's not that simple as it might sound. But
just right.
Yeah, I think it just proves again this shit really works. Lack of a better word. So yeah. And if you want more of this kind of stuff that we talk about in the podcast, as we explained in the last couple of episodes, we have now launched our YouTube channel. So you can go and check that out. And actually, we have also, as of today, launched our YouTube launch competition. So if you want to participate, go to mindic.eu/YouTube launch. You'll find the link to that in the show notes. And Lorna, what can you actually win in this competition?
You can win an amazing one-on-one coaching call with either Jocelyn or myself. You can choose. So super excited for that.
Yeah. It's nice to be able to give something like that away, and also it's exciting that we can combine this all together. So the people that are really excited about diving in, I'm sure that those are also the people that are going to go over there and subscribe to the YouTube channel to go that level deeper. I'm excited that we're able to give away a coaching call to one of those people. So yeah. If you want to participate, go to mindic.eu/YouTube launch. You'll find that link in the show notes. And all you need to do is basically subscribe to our YouTube channel, tick in your email address so we can contact you if you've won. And that'll be you. Super. Right, Lorna, that's out the way. Let's dive in. What are we going to talk about today?
We're going to go back to goals. I know we talk about goals quite a lot, but I think a couple of conversations we've had, and I think at the start of the season, we all start off with these lofty goals, or we encourage you to set these lofty goals, your North Star. I think we talked about this just last week or the week before. But where do we find flexibility within this? Because I think it's New Year and everyone gets excited. It's a bit like going to the gym, huh? Like New Year, that's it. We're going to go for it. And we know, or if you've been around for long enough, we know that we have to start working on our mindset. It's not suddenly a switch that we're going to flick and all of a sudden you're going to wake up confident on the 1st of January and seize the day and you're going to start working towards going to the Olympics. Okay, very extreme. But it starts. But then we know that progress is not a straight line, as by humans we want it to be, or we would desperately want us just to set the goal and we go in a straight line and we achieve the goal. We know that's not realistic. So how can we help you guys and ourselves essentially to set that goal that guides your season rather than starts to control you? What do you think of that?
Yeah, 100% agree. And, I come across, this time of year, everyone is busy with their season plans and their goals, at least over in Europe. And I see so many riders that are hesitant when it comes. Some people are just frank out, like, I'm not setting goals. I'm just not doing it because it just gets me in a weird mind space so you have those kind of people. And then you have people that are like a bit hesitant, that will set a goal, but actually is actually far below what they're actually capable. So they will aim way too low. And then you have the people that set a goal maybe for themselves, but they don't dare to speak it out to other people. And to be fair, I found myself a little bit in that space. So, I'm not only talking to everyone else, like this is things that, as we often talk about, these are things that we are confronting, or we are getting confronted with ourselves. Because as you know, Lorna, I like to set big goals, and I find that that's where I make the most progress, when I aim for big things and I set those stretch goals. But to then speak that out to people, I felt a lot like I had to explain myself, like, and to speak it out. Like I set the goal for myself to ride a 4-star this year, and now I've said this now to a lot of people, so it starts to feel normal again to ride a 4-star at the end of the year with my 8-year-old. But every time I felt like I had to explain myself. I had to explain myself why I had set that goals, as if people would think like, oh, she's crazy for setting that goal, or she's risking her horse, or all those kind of things. And even now when I say it, if you're watching now on YouTube, you see I'm getting like a little bit red in my face. Now I'm able to speak it out because I know that it's all bullshit. Like, it is all bullshit. But to make a long story short, I find there's so many riders, including myself, that find it challenging to set those stretch goals or to set goals for yourself and dare to speak them out and actually make them reality. And if we can't even speak them out, how are we going to be able to actually start working towards them and actually get there if we don't even dare to speak them out?
And is that a fear of judgment? Like, what prevents you and everybody else from actually speaking out? Because, you open your mouth and words come out. It's really not that difficult without being smart.
Well, that's what I come to realize.
But here we go, frank as ever. But where does that fear come from?
Yeah, and I think that fear is probably different for everyone, but I can assure you that there is a fear behind it. For me, it's a fear of judgment, for sure. A fear of what people will think. But that is a thing that comes back a lot with me in my writing, in my life in general. What are people going to think? I'm a bit of a people pleaser, and I want everyone to like me, and I want everyone to think I'm smart and funny and all those kind of things. So yeah, for me, it's definitely a fear of judgment. Like, what? Like, if I'm being like completely transparent, I'm afraid that I will say that I'm riding. I have a goal set to ride a 4-star with my 8-year-old, and that people will be like, Justin, you're absolute, like, that is so far-fetched for you, and that's risking your horse, and you are yeah, like, risking your horse. You're not doing what's best for your horse, and people think that I will do, like, stuff in my for my own ego, if that makes sense, and thereby go out and risk my horse, and that people will think like, yeah, you're not ready for that, the horse is not ready for that, and you're doing the wrong thing. Like, if I'm really transparent, that's what it comes down to, right?
But for me, goals are about information. They're about data. Like we gather this along the way. So you set that goal for yourself. You might get there, you might not. Like nobody knows that. I don't know that. You don't know that at this point. Nobody knows what might happen within our season. But if we see our goals as, okay, as I go, I'm going to learn, which we're obviously all about. I'm going to gather information, see where we're at. Like that is the way I set my goals, is because sometimes I'm not the biggest fan of setting those massive lofty goals because, as you know, I'm hard on myself. And like if I don't get there, I see that as a reflection, I guess, me, my ego a bit. So I always see it as I'm going to set it, but as I go throughout the season, I'm going to gather information like data. And
Yeah.
I think that's finding the flexibility within it. And that for me is the difference between when our ego gets involved in it, like you're talking about, like, I want to prove myself, I want to stretch myself, and you're saying essentially at the detriment to your horse. But actually, that's not true, because really, if you get to the middle of the season, and we're not saying it's going to happen, and all your boxes are not ticked, and there's a couple of holes in your there are always holes appear in our training when we're chasing things, and we're constantly going from one competition to the next, and we've not got time to fix the little holes that have appeared. But it's all information, and I think when I listen to you, you're going to gather that information, and everybody around about you who cares about you is going to keep saying, okay, this is a good idea, or maybe we need to go back a step. Like Karen, who is your trainer, she was great with you last year, and she was like, okay, Justin, I think you should do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And then, like even when you talk, and you've talked about this in the podcast, step down to 2-star, and it's not a step down, but like have an easier run so you can consolidate your information before you go back up again. So I think it's setting the goals, but it's not flying by the seat of your pants, and not putting, because you're always going to put your horse's welfare first. Like I would always put my horse's welfare first. But it's information, it's data that we collect, I think, the whole way along this journey.
Yeah, 100%. And, I know that, obviously,
Yeah.
and I know that I'm not going to start or register for a 4-star if I don't think we are ready for that, right? Or if that's okay, we will never be ready until we've actually done it. But you see my point.
Yeah.
If if the horse doesn't feel really confident, I feel really confident, I feel like 3-star is easy. Yeah, I'm not going to step up to 4-star. And I know that, right? But then I feel like, when I'm speaking this out to other people, they might not know. And then I'm afraid of getting judged by them, which is, I guess, the reason why I feel like I have to explain myself. I literally have to say that, like, yeah, but I won't do it unless I feel like we're absolutely ready for it. And, and I think that just, what can I say? That's just a testament of that, you're, I guess there's some, because the only reason why we care about other people's opinions is because there's an insecurity within us. And I guess in this case, it's an insecurity of like, am I going to be ready? I don't know myself if I'm going to be ready for it. I don't know if the horse is going to be ready. I don't know if I'm going to be ready, because I've never done it before. And I guess it just reflects back that there is an insecurity there.
It's interesting though, how like when you say that, it's as clear as day. You're like, yeah, of course, if you're not ready, you're not going to do it. So I wonder where that real limiting belief comes from, because, like when you speak that out, I don't mean it sounds stupid, but everybody's going to be like, yeah, of course, Justin, if you're not ready, you're not going to go from it. So that's actually in your head. Like that is your own limiting belief of actually speaking that out.
Yeah, but I do think it's interesting to talk about this, because I believe there is the same thing with so many people out there. And, whether in my case, it's a fear of judgment. It could also be other things. It could be a fear of failure, that you'll feel like, okay, if I can't do it, it will be almost like evidence that I'm not good enough. A lot of people with a fixed mindset, they're probably going to be thinking more in the sense of like a fear of failure. Or fear of success. Like there's so many different things, but I think what is important is if you feel like you're a little bit hesitant with setting a goal for yourself, always ask yourself, why is that? Because I can speak about this very clear now, because when I noticed this with myself, I noticed how I started explaining myself. I was like, oh, there's something going on here. And I've done a lot of reflection on this in the last couple of weeks. So I think that's where it starts. to really get to the bottom of that. And if it really is your ego or some kind of insecurity, then you have to ask yourself, okay, well, am I going to allow that to hold me back from setting that goal? Or am I going to learn to accept that people might think things of me, but actually that's completely irrelevant to me and my journey and my goal and my progress?
I think as well, I hate the word realistic, but I think, yes, we put that big goal out there. You know, we talk about someday goals, those 5-10 year goals, which are like the ones that really feel out of your reach right now. You have to remember you're already at 3-star. So 4-star, yes, we know is quite a massive step up. You know, it's getting to the top of the sport, but it's a level up, huh? And I think when we set goals at the start, if you are riding and there's absolutely nothing around it, if you're riding around 90s now and you want to set yourself a goal of going 3-star at the end of the year, you have to be a little bit realistic, because your confidence will get a knock if we set goals that are, like, I really mean out of reach, that are going to be too far. And there's not so many people like that, but I have coached people that are like, okay, I'm here and I want to get to there. Okay, well, we only have 12 months in this year. We only probably have 6 months of a season. It's a little bit tight. I hate expectations, but it's a little bit tight to expect yourself for the amount of training and work on yourself to get from here to here. For me, yours is not such a massive step. Yes, you need more rounds. Yes, you need more experience, like we all do. Yes, we need more information. But it's not massive. So I think I hate realistic, but you have to kind of do a bit of a check-in as to where you are now, where you want to get to, and with action and work, can you get from here to here? Or here to there.
And I suppose everyone is different in that, right? Because I know what you're talking about. Sometimes I hear people that are, you know, basically afraid to canter their horses, and they're telling me that they're going to go out and ride an eventing in a couple of months. And then I'm like,
100%.
but how?
How?
And I'm the last person to tell people that, you know, they're not, that they shouldn't go for it. I'm the last person. I literally never tell. I'm always like, go for it. We'll make it happen. And, you know, step by step and all those kind of things. And I think that doesn't serve anyone either, because you'll just feel like you know,
a failure.
You're not setting yourself up for success. I guess that's the thing. But again, these are the minority of people. Like if I've met 2 people like this the last couple of years, that'll be a lot, right? So I think for most people, we're probably playing small rather than, you know, being realistic. But but I think in those cases, it's important to break it down. You know, if that is the goal and that's where you want to go to, if you're serious about that, well, then start to break it down. And, you know, set goal setting to the now. If that is the yearly goal, well, that means that in 6 months, I want to be here. And that means in 3 months, I want to be here. And that means in this month, I want to be here. And this week, I want to be able to do this. Because that's where I think you realize, if it's completely unrealistic and completely out of space, you know, you'll come to realize that then. When you break it down and you realize what you actually need to be able to do by the end of this week or the end of this month, then you're like, okay, maybe that is a bit too...
100%. And like you say, we never encourage anyone to play small. Like, we're all about, you know, playing big and having dreams and aspirations and all the rest of it. But I think if it is too big of a stretch, like you say, if you really break it down and by the end of the week, you're like, shit, I need to be doing this. Like, that is so far off. It's just a little check in with yourself, huh? Because that doesn't help our confidence. Like, that does not help confidence. But I think it needs to be big enough to stretch. And all being well, and your horse stays sound and you don't get injured and all those kind of things, then this is achievable. Like, this is a stretch. And if you don't get there, then we then look at the facts. Like, everything is a neutral event. It's just our thinking that either tips it one way or the other. So then we start looking at the facts on how to get better in these situations.
And I think just that, it's so important to look at the facts, because when I think of those people, for me, they are action talkers. We always talk about, like, there's action talkers and there are action takers. And some people are very good in painting a vision. They're like, they're very good in telling a story of, like, this is where I'm going to get to, and this is that. And that is amazing, because that is where it starts. You know, if you're not able to see that vision for yourself, then you're also not going to get there, right? You need to be able to paint that vision and see that vision and, you know, see that as being your future. But then what's so important is you're able to turn it into action. And some people get stuck in the vision, and they are basically dreamers. They're very good in, like, speaking it out and having that vision, but then they don't back it with action. They're not walking their talk. Like you said a couple of weeks ago, Lorna, like, you have to check in with yourself. Are you walking your talk? It's great that you've set that goal for yourself and you've dreamt that up and you put it on a vision board. But are you doing the small things every day? Are you taking all the action that backs that up?
And I think I always say if we're gonna set these goals, we really have to open ourselves up to learning and failure, because if you are pushing yourself, and it's not about pushing yourself to the max, but you are going to have to stretch yourself to do it. As soon as we stretch ourselves, like, we are opening ourselves up to make mistakes, because that is how we learn, and we learn and we learn and we learn. And I've worked with so many people that we get into this process, and I guess that's why we're coaches, and you need a coach, because it's an uncomfortable place to be. You know, like, you go into that, oh, I'm not good enough. Like, today it didn't work out. Like, it's too a stretch. But then we're like, jackpot, like, exactly what should be happening, because it might not seem like it right now. I say this so many times, but today is a gold day. Like, today is gold. And it probably is not going to work out tomorrow or the next day, but by the end of this week and the start of next week, you're going to learn something. And that is how we're going to progress. But that's not an easy place or a comfortable place to actually be. And I think you just need to watch as well. And I noticed this in myself. I had a dressage lesson on Saturday, and I'm like, oh, I just love you to get on. This is like the blind leading the blind. And my trainer was like, you're actually doing really well, and you have made so much progress, but you keep moving the goalposts. Like, you fix one thing or you get better at one thing, and like, all of a sudden and I should know better, but like, you've stretched the goalpost, your expectations have got bigger, and you're like, it's not working out. Like I said to you today about my simple changes in my test, I'm like, oh, he needs to sit more, like, he needs to be straighter, he needs to come off his shoulder, and you're like, yeah, I actually think we're really good.
They were really good. That was the first thing I thought when watching this test. I'm like, fuck, she's nailing those changes. And then she tells me, oh yeah, they can be so much better. I'm like, my God, you're being hard on yourself.
And I caught myself, because you get a but. Like, I pull people up on this all the time. Yeah, but. Like, you're making excuses, but it's a good thing in a way, because you're always stretching yourself. You're always pushing yourself. But I think for me personally, I'm not always consciously aware when I've moved my goalpost. So something that was good enough before, and that is obviously, that's great, and I always want to get better, so do you want to improve, but you just have to watch subconsciously that you're not always moving the goalposts all the time, and actually take time to stop, pause, reflect, be grateful for the progress you've made, and then be consciously aware of the next stretch goals that you've set yourself.
Yeah, I think that is that thing, like, being able to be satisfied but still wanting more.
Yeah.
Be proud but still wanting more.
Way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I am proud, but sometimes I don't recognise when I've kept moving these goalposts. And you know what they say, it's impossible to hit a moving target. So if you don't actually know the target you've set yourself, then it's impossible to hit that, because you've already pushed it back, like the target, and you're like, oh shit, I can't hit that. That should be better than that. And I didn't go in with that mindset yesterday at all. I went in with completely no expectations, but actually, on reflection, sometimes it's good just to check in and just notice where you have set your expectations.
Yeah. And to kind of, lead that back to where we were talking about this thing with, like, setting a stretch goal and setting a big goal. What's really important in that is also, it's like, it's not only when you've gotten there that you're allowed to be proud for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, that is just that, like you said, that's a North Star. That's where you're going towards. And
100%.
every tiny step towards that, you're allowed to be happy and proud with yourself. And when I say every step towards that, I also am talking about the failures and the mistakes, because as we know, from mistakes you learn, and you pull something out and you come out better next time. So even the failures and even the mistakes and even the quote unquote screw ups are steps towards it. So every single step that you're taking in the direction of that goal is something to be proud for, and it's something to celebrate.
Yeah. But I think you need to give yourself time to stop and pause and reflect. And we both know, and probably most of the people that are listening, when you're in the middle of a season, we're always chasing the next competition. We're always chasing the next goal. And I got caught in this, and you probably got caught in that in last year as well, as actually, okay, stop. Maybe we need to just go back. As I said before, fix the little holes or the little cracks that are starting to appear, because it is tricky in the middle of the season, because you're always going from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. You know, you've done your winter training. Yes, you're progressing and you're learning from your competitions, but sometimes give yourself the time and the space and the trust to stop and be like, okay, I'm going to forgo this next competition to actually go back and spend a week training and go back to basics and nail my straightness or whatever has kind of gone a wee bit, off kilter, because we're in the middle of it all. You're not going to go backwards for stopping or missing one competition, and I think that's probably where you started with this. It's okay, it's okay just to give yourself that time to go.
Not even okay. It's part of it as well. Like, that is
yeah.
also setting steps forward. Yeah. Awesome. I think there was a lot in there. So I think we can hold up right here. If you enjoyed this episode and if you enjoy the kind of topics that we talk about, do make sure you follow the podcast. You can follow it here as an audio podcast in your browser, but you can also follow us on YouTube. And when you follow us on YouTube, do also make sure that you participate in our YouTube launch competition. Thereby, you can also win a one-on-one coaching call. All the details and all the links where you need to register are in the show notes of this episode. But just for the ones that really just don't want to check the show notes, go to mindic.eu/YouTube launch. And we hope that it will be you that wins the competition and that show up to a call with either myself or Lorna. And other than that, we're going to challenge you all to start making strides in your mindset so you can truly make strides in your riding. And we'll see you on the next Magical Monday.